So this is the first shoot of 2014, Iyanla Fix My Life. And we're in Allentown, Bethlehem, Easton area of Pennsylvania. And traveling here on yesterday was very interesting. It was full of snow. I left my house in Ocean City, Maryland I got on the road at like 9:05, and for the first 90 minutes it was just smooth sailing. And then in Delaware, that's when the flurry started, and by the time I got into Pennsylvania, it was a full-on snowstorm. Bumper to bumper traffic, inch by inch by inch. A trip that should have taken 4 hours actually took 7 hours to get here yesterday. Today is a new day. And when I woke up this morning, the snow had stopped and the sun is up, and today is the first shoot day. We do have a weather-related delay where we would normally have gathered up and started rolling out at 11. We're now gathering up and rolling out at 2:30. So we do have a weather-related delay. And I'm basically just sitting in my hotel room talking to you. And I think it's probably a good time to share how I even became involved with Iyanla Fix My Life. I've known Iyanla Vanzant for about 14 years now. We met in 2001 on August 30th or 31st. I don't remember exactly which day, whichever the Monday was of that week. Her national talk show premiered. And I was sitting in my office at Discovery Channel watching. And never having met Iyanla before, didn't know her, but knew her work. Read Acts of Faith, read Spirit of a Man, knew the work, knew her as an author. Didn't even really know that she was in the Washington, D.C. area where I was born and raised. But I was sitting in my office at Discovery Channel at that time. I was an executive producer, and watching her show and looking very carefully at what was being presented, and really wanting, I remember really wanting for her to be successful, really wanting for her to shine. And some of what I saw that first day, I didn't feel met the mark of that. And so I sat in my office and scribbled notes. This was in Bethesda, Maryland, in 2001. Scribbling notes at my desk while watching her premiere show. And at the end of the show, there was an email address. I think it was if you want to be a guest, send an email to this address. And I typed up my notes and sent them to that email address and just went on with my life, basically. And about a little over a week later, I got a phone call. I came back from lunch, hit the voicemail message like I would do any other day, and it was a message from Iyanla saying, hey, your email is floating around the production office and it got to me. I agree with a lot of what you said. Will you help me? And so I listened to the message, and I remember standing there going, wow. Wow. Who knew that anybody would even read that email? And they had read the email, and she called me. So I called her back. I said, yes, I'm willing to help you. We can work together. And we talked on that first phone call. It had to be at least 5 or 6 hours. I mean, just into the night, I remember sitting there at that office, just talking to Iyanla. I felt like I had known her for years, and we talked and talked and talked and talked. And that was the beginning of our relationship. Every night after that night, we talked into the wee hours of the morning. She would fax me or email me the scripts. I would read them, give her feedback. We'd talk about it. We'd talk about what she could say when she did her open at the beginning of the show. We would talk about points that she might want to make. We just worked together. And it was really beautiful. It was really wonderful. And I just remember feeling like I had a new friend. And that was 14 years ago. So it's been a minute that we've known one another. I've certainly been present in her life at some of the big highs, during some of the big highs, and I've certainly been present in her life during some of the low lows. And in 2013, after she had already been involved in production of Iyanla Fix My Life for a year, they were a year into production, she asked me if I wanted to be involved in a more formal way with the production. I had always been talking to Iyanla offline, if you will, as a friend, as we always did about most, if not all, of her television projects. We talked it through and talked about the possibilities and the healing work that she wanted to accomplish in whatever she was doing. Certainly that was the case with things that she had done in the past. And that had continued even through the first year of Iyanla Fix My Life, although I wasn't really a part officially of the team. Nobody even really knew I existed. She was talking to me. We were working things out. I would sit at home and watch on the screen and see a lot of the things that we talked about on the screen. But nobody really knew that I existed in her production world on this show. And she asked me in the fall of 2012, actually, if I wanted to be involved in a more formal way. And I said yes. At that time in my life, it was a period of extreme transition. That shift that all the New Agers and the conscious folks talk about of 2012, well, I was experiencing a shift in my life. I moved from Bethesda to the beach, 2 hours away from where I was born and raised and lived and worked. And it was just a different life. I went from cosmopolitan city guy to serene, cerebral, rural guy. And that request from Iyanla came just after that shift. She was there for me during that period of my life in a big way, in a very important way, with a lot of support and encouragement and advice and counsel. And when she asked me that I want to be involved in this program, Iyanla Fix My Life, I was like, yes, yes. And so in January of 2013, our work together on this program, Iyanla Fix My Life, began. And I was involved in 18 shows in 2013. Today is my 19th show, and this is the first show in the year 2014, right here in Allentown, Bethlehem, Easton, Pennsylvania. So I'm really happy. I feel grateful. This is the first time in my life I've been a TV producer now for over 15 years, really closer to 20. And this is the first time that I've been able to combine my spirituality with my television experience. They are harmonizing and merging in a very beautiful way in this process that I'm truly, truly enjoying, and I'm very grateful to be able to experience. I've worked for many, many years in television as an executive, as a producer, and a lot of that television, at least in the latter days of my experience, was pretty mindless and sometimes even meaningless. While it certainly felt like the right thing to do and the entertaining thing to do in the moment, as time went on, my work in television became more and more meaningless as the television landscape shifted. and it shifted for me from meaning to meaninglessness. Meaningless, from meaning to meaningless. And I really wasn't enjoying a lot of what hit my desk in terms of projects, which caused a transition in my life that I've talked about many, many times, of leaving Discovery Channel and then leaving TV One in later years. And so this is my first television experience where I feel like, as a conscious, awake, divine brother.
That means that for her on her end, for her to really understand her husband, where he's coming from, all the hurt, everything that he's been going through, so that she then has some kind of focus and vision for her life, so that she can in turn move forward and accept it. Right now she hasn't accepted it, and she's not really hearing it. Doesn't matter what it is.
Okay, so we're going for clarity. How's everybody? First of all, thank you for braving us. I wasn't being a diva, we just couldn't move. So,
she actually wanted to come.
He punked
I don't know. No.
I'm a New Yorker.
Ooh, the P word.
In the car, let's get this show on the road. And they were like, "What's your safety? Your safety."
Yeah.
They don't know I have a broom. I just don't show it to everybody. I have a broom. Okay. So this is our 4th season.
Amen.
Taking this healing to another level. And then, you know, I have the delight in my cap, the feather in my cap, that this show has been nominated for an NAACP Commission Award. Not for the award, but for the statement that people are willing to watch this kind of television.
Right.
Because if I had to put on a thong and do a hip hop dance, people would be blinded. Okay?
They would watch, though.
Country would be blind. No, they wouldn't.
They would watch for the first couple of minutes.
Like, what is that? Okay. So we are just so excited. We really do work as a team. I really try to make eye contact with everybody so that we're all one, and we're really doing this. That people trust us enough to let them into their hearts and their lives. And this is a very sacred story for me. We're working with a minister and his wife, and there are 2 male children involved. So as we go into these people's homes and their lives, I just ask that we hold them in the highest possible light. The other thing, for the new people, you'll find that what you hear and what you see will trigger your stuff. So keep breathing. If you have any questions, I'll be more than willing to answer them for you, and support you in that. The only thing that I ask, and Josh knows, shoot me long and narrow. That's all I need. I need you to shoot me long and narrow, you know, because I don't want to look old and wrinkled on TV. Yeah? Long. You got that lens, right? You got your lens? Okay. So together we just connect as one mind, one heart, one life, one spirit, in gratitude for this opportunity to serve a higher interest on this planet, to bring healing and love and light, to bring clarity, to stand with Sandra and Adrian and their intention that this family access the deepest level of healing available, and that all of us are touched and emerge different than we were when we came in. And for this opportunity to serve and heal and support, we just give thanks. And we say, fix a life.
Yes.
Fix a life.
Fix a life. Come on, fix a life. Come on, everybody, touch in.
Can you get in? Can you get in there?
1, 2, 3.
Fix a life.
Okay, so what you just saw there was called the Circle Up. That's when the producers, the crew, the execs all gather in the lobby of the hotel. Iyanla comes down, greets everybody, and as you saw, states her intentions for the family or the guests that we'll be working with in the program. So we do it at the top of every day, and then Iyanla goes and gets her makeup done. Sometimes she already has her makeup done. In this case, she didn't have her makeup on, but then she'll go do her makeup, and then we're going to head over to the first location, which is the apartment of a wife and her children. That's all I'm going to say about that. Now you'll notice that it's dark outside, and that's because, as I mentioned earlier, we had a weather delay today. So this is the first shoot that I've been on of my 19. This is my 19th one that we've actually started at night. So it's about a couple of minutes before 6 o'clock. It's pitch black outside, and we're just starting. Iyanla's getting her makeup done right across the hall from where I am. She's literally right across the hall. And when she's done in about 30 minutes, we're going to head over to the first location. The producers have already advanced there an expectation of us, and that's all I got for you right now.
I don't have to go to the
No,
No.
you do not.
It's warm inside. Okay, 1 second, please. Sorry about that. Have moved that out the way for you.
He looks a little hungry. He needs a little nourishment.
You are seen, Rodney.
No,
you are
not on the floor.
You are seen. So, Kim, is this called a pre-shoot touch-up? Is this touch-up, technically?
This would be a pre-shoot touch-up.
Okay.
This is called a last look.
This is
Okay.
Ice.
This is a
It's
last
ice
look.
right there.
Yeah, water just won't.
I think somewhere in my life contract with the board, he said, Iyanla, you don't have to work in December or January. Or any time it falls below freezing. You just don't have to do it, Iyanla.
Well, it is 12 degrees.
Is it 12?
You must have been an
That's
Eskimo in another life and just do not want to be feeling any kind of cold
don't want to
anymore.
do
No.
that anymore.
No.
You
You
know
must
what?
have had that experience.
I have low blood iron. My hemoglobin's always low, and my blood pressure, because I just can't do cold.
Right.
Now it could be 120 outside, and I would be sipping my lemonade, having a good time. But take me under 60, and I have all kind of issues.
See, I'm a cold weather dude.
Really?
I love it. Yeah.
Have we ever shot in the winter?
No, and this is the first time we started at night since I've been around.
Always considered that I was putting myself in a marriage, you know, working towards constantly, all the time.
But your speaking reveals where you are in consciousness.
Probably, I think,
that a family, which really usually is about who were born and how they're born, and then a husband.
It is 3:30 in the morning. I'm just getting back into my hotel room after today's shoot. We started, as I said earlier, about 6 or 7 o'clock this evening, kind of late start because of weather. And we talked to a wife and mother first, and then we talked to a husband and father. They're married to each other and are living in separate residences. So we went to the wife's house first and then to the husband's house. And all I can tell you about this story is that the emotional journey that this man took today, the journey that he took today was unbelievable. And so it's 3:30 and I'm just getting back to the hotel room. The crews have to have an 8-hour rest, and then we'll do it again for day 2. So probably not before noon or so. And then we're back at it again for day 2. I would say this about what I saw today and my impressions about what I saw today, what I learned from what I saw today, that people are living so far below a level of soul satisfaction that they are really aspiring to. Many people are living sad and tragic lives. They're choosing tragedy and sadness. And when you watch these stories play out in other people's lives right in front of you like that, it makes you very clear about and brings to your awareness the places in your own life where you are choosing sadness, pain, where you are choosing to live so far under the level of soul satisfaction that you aspire to having and to experiencing. You see it. You see it in them because you're standing 6 feet from them. I see it from them because I'm standing 6 feet from them. But then you begin to see it in yourself. And you begin to ask yourself, where am I choosing suffering? And as the Buddhists will tell you, first thing you got to do is to eliminate the conditions that are causing you suffering. Eliminate the conditions that are causing you to suffer. And that right there is some hard work. That right there is the soul work. That right there is the great work. That is the journey and the path. To eliminate one at a time the things in your life that are causing you to suffer. Let that sink in.
You'll be here waiting and
Okay.
get up and
Okay.
she'll come in to you.
All right, so, all right. Wait a minute. I have to get up to greet her, so.
That's fine. I'll shoot it. Mikey, can you squeeze back a tiny bit for this entrance?
Whoopsie!
Can you squeeze back its entrance? What? Yeah, I know.
You're gonna pick that meeting up pretty much.
What's that?
You're gonna pick this meeting up.
Yeah, I'll pick
Okay,
them
I'm
up.
not gonna really have to.
Yep.
There's a light.
Give me something, mama.
Are we ready?
Yes.
All right.
You guys heard that 2-8-4 split?
Yep.
Say what?
I'm sorry, I'm just talking.
You speeding?
Mm-hmm.
Come on, Miss Jen. Morning. How are you?
So it is day 2 of our first Iyanla Fix My Life shoot of the year. And I'm in Allentown, Bethlehem, Easton, Pennsylvania. And last night we shot until 3:30 in the morning. And this morning we're starting at, the call time is 11:30. And day 2 is always intense because this is when it all comes together. Day 1, we lay the groundwork of what's the story, what's the issue, what's the problem. Iyanla lays out a process and the principles that we're going to follow in that healing process. And then on day 2, it is about the healing, the payoff. All comes together on day 2. We have what we call a knee to knee. If you can just visualize that, sitting with your knees to somebody facing you, their knees. And it's intense. It's intense. This is where all of the, as Iyanla says, carefrontation occurs. This is where you face your hard truths. And this is where you ask for forgiveness. You acknowledge your wrong behavior. And you find a way with you and your loved ones to create a path forward. And that's what's about to go down today. So I got about 40 minutes before I have to meet everyone downstairs. And I am going to do a little bit of meditation and then I'm going to hit it. And day 2 is always exciting for me because it's the day that I get to go home. I love to go and do, but I always love going back home.
So that's one possibility. Another possibility is it's day 2 here in Easton. Is it Easton? Easton. It's day 2 here in Easton, Pennsylvania, where I'm working with a family that is in total breakdown. Well, breakdown may not be the right word. Transition. And we're living in a time when traditional families are transitioning all the time to become modern families. But in order for that to really happen, everybody must stand in their truth and be willing to let go of what they've known to the possibility of what they can have. So my first conversation is with David, because there's some things I really want to be clear about. And I want him to be clear about before he meets with his wife and his children.
So this is really my first time as a conscious, awake, spiritually alive human being in the television landscape, practicing my profession. This is also the first, true confessions, this is also the first television experience where I have been 100% alcohol free, 100% drug free, 100% sexually abstinent. So I'm really breathing air in this television landscape that I've never breathed before. And that's exciting to me. That's exciting to me. It's what I've always wanted, to walk on a higher plane in my soul space, to make a journey in certain areas of my life from the basement to the attic, which that's certainly the journey that I've been on with regards to being alcohol free, being drug free, and being sexually abstinent, from living in the basement realm of practicing those things to making that journey of letting them go and living in a space in the attic or in the penthouse where I don't even desire drugs, I don't even desire alcohol. I do desire sex, but I'm in a place where I've been able to create through spiritual study and through spiritual discipline. I've been able to create some commitment around not expressing myself in the sexual space for over 3 years now. So all of that work, all of that work that has gone into character building in the last however many years it's been, 3 or so, has really allowed me to walk into this experience in this particular production arena on this show, Iyanla Fix My Life, really as a different person, a more evolved human being, certainly a better man. So able to practice my virtues in this environment with this particular content, which is geared toward fixing or healing people's lives. It's just a beautiful, wonderful, great thing in my life right now, and I celebrate it. My goal is to be fully present with all of the experiences that we have this year. We're going to shoot 16 shows in 2014 that I'm going to be a part of, and I'm excited for the lessons learned through each experience, not only from watching Iyanla do what she does, but also from the guests opening up their hearts and their minds and their souls and sharing themselves in the way that they do. I get something from it every single time. Well, what do I actually do? You might be wondering. What do I do? When we are shooting, I am right behind Iyanla's cameraman. That's either Josh, on this trip it's Josh, or Chris. And so I'm always in Iyanla's eye line. She can always see me when the cameras are rolling. And there's something that happens between us. she's looking at me sometimes. Sometimes you can even catch her in the final show. You can see her eye dart or looking. And sometimes I'm sitting on the floor or I'm up high, but I'm always sort of near where she is, within 6 to 10 feet from her. And what happens is once she goes into her process with the guests, look very carefully for this. It's hard to tell when you're watching an edited program, but certainly for those of us who are standing in the room, we can see, some of us, through our spiritual eyes, when Iyanla is lifting off. This happens to me on my radio program too. I just end up lifting off, and so I'm in the body, but also in the astral consciousness, just pulling wisdom, listening to the life force energies, hearing, pulling it down, and working in the space, in the soul space. And so that happens for her when we're taping, and it also happens for me when we're taping. And because we're linked and locked spiritually, this dance sort of happens. Things come to me, I may make a note, show her the note. She looks at it, she may or may not go into that direction or ask that question or say the same thing. 90% of the time, if not 95% of the time, we're right there. We're right there. Ultimately, she knows where she wants to take the person or people, and so that 10% of the time when we may not be on the same page or may not be exactly in the same moment with something, with a note that I may share, it's because she knows where she wants to take them, and it may not be time for her to do that yet. So there's a dance that happens, and I'm thinking, I'm writing, I may make a note, I'm affirming. Some of the people standing around sometimes see me doing this. My hand will go up, and they'll see me like doing this. And that means, yeah, you got it, you're on it, you're in the groove, you're in the zone. Some people may know it as, yeah, you're hitting that spot. That's the spot right there. It can mean that too. But like, you're right in that space. Yeah, get it, pull it. That's what that means. So I'll do that sometimes. And really, I'm just there to support and to help her in any way that I can. Certainly, I'm involved in creative decisions and story development prior to getting to the shoot. I have a fingerprint in that process as well. But the bane of my existence on location is to be in the soul space with Iyanla and help her to translate her healing plan into television that makes sense, that people will get in the moment and understand what she's doing. So that's what I do.
Pretty soon he's going to have somebody replacing you, and he is too. And listen, baby, that's something all of us mothers go through. And at first, it's really hard when you see your baby boys bringing another woman into your house. But then there comes a day when you be so glad. You be like, you ain't got nobody. Would you get somebody, please? I'm telling you, this is your time. Really, it is. And it may not feel like it now, but as someone that's walked through that, both the empty nest and the transition out of, I want to see you in another 3 years. I really do. You're going to be amazed. King David. A lesser man could not have done it, Mr. David. So my work here is done. Get thee to a counselor. Get thee into therapy. Yeah? Get thee into therapy. And I'm gonna make sure that you, Mr. Miles, have my number, because it'll do my heart good to know that a young man has my number. Don't give me that. Oh, trust your instincts. Okay, it's okay to know. Young men. Good. What are you studying?
Marketing. For now.
My work here is done. I'm taking my cards with me. All righty. Toodles. Bye.